Hi and welcome back to Mismatch. We are on chapter 12, The Fallout. And we are confronting Aphrodite. For you, my dearest. Richard strides boldly to Veronica, pressing the bouquet you made into her arms. She glances between him and Drew, startled. Richard, I don't know what to say. You don't need to say anything. Charming and rustic, aren't they? They reminded me of our life together, with all its highs and lows. Your cheeks burn with betrayal as you hear the all too familiar words, and you turn to hiss at Aphrodite under your breath. So this was the plan all along. And you never saw it coming. Before you can snap back at Aphrodite, Veronica's voice reaches you again, rising in confusion. Richard, I do wish you would have told me you were coming tonight. You haven't attended these events in years. I hope to surprise you. The truth is, I've done wrong by you. Such an extraordinary woman deserves a man who will stand by her side, and it's high time I began doing just that. Richard offers Veronica his arm. Your dad awkwardly coughs and Richard glances at him as though he's a discarded wrapper. I haven't seen this man before. Is he part of the fundraiser staff? If I was on staff, it looks like I'd need to remember how to put on a tie. Your dad chuckles at his own humour. No one joins him. Poor guy. Is that supposed to be a joke? This is Drew DeFerenzi, owner of a local bar. I've brought him to introduce him to some investors. A good thing, too. I've been interested in diversifying my investments for a while. A family-owned bar is exactly what I'm looking for. Well, this is a charity, I suppose. Anyway, Veronica, let's sit down for dinner, shall we, dear? Richard leads a still confused-looking Veronica away, and Aphrodite quickly catches up to them. Your dad spots you and walks over, looking morose. Well, Junebug, now what? You're going to sit with Veronica at dinner, of course. Whatever Aphrodite and Richard are planning, we have to stop it. But what do I do about Richard? The guy obviously already doesn't like me. Just remember, change the subject if he starts being demeaning. Include others in the conversation. You're 10 times the man he'll ever be. Something tells me Richard's going to take this opportunity to talk himself up in front of Veronica like he's the center of the world. That's not going to win him any real favors at the table, and the rest of the guests will be happy to be drawn into the conversation. Alright, I think I can do this for Veronica. Richard and Veronica sit side by side at a table. You give your dad a pat on the back and he takes the free seat beside Veronica. Drew, my good man, I believe the beneficiaries of this charity event have their own table by the door. Richard, I did invite him. And that is so very thoughtful of you, darling, but I don't see his name on the table placements here. Richard already chuckles dismissively, already turning away from your dad. Speaking of charities, though, I think it's about time I break out my checkbook. There are so many worthy causes represented here tonight. He cranes his head around until he spots a sign for one of the charities. Like the Harbour Conservation Group. Supporting the environment is all the rage these days. God, he's such a dick. That seems like a wonderful cause, Richard. Do the rest of you have your eyes on any particular charities, Madeline? Veronica's childhood friend looks surprised at being asked to speak and smiles warmly. Well, the Children's Hospital helped save my baby's niece's life when she developed a heart problem. Oh yes, I remember. They were so hospitable the whole time, weren't they? We were in good hands, and the hospital is completely non-profit. I'd love to show my appreciation with a generous donation. As your dad smoothly navigates the conversation, you take a seat across the table next to Aphrodite. Keeping your voice low, you murmur at her. Listen, Aphrodite, when this is over, we need to talk. It's sad that you're this desperate. Richard, seriously, Aphrodite? I don't know what the hell you're thinking. That's the whole point of a blindside. Looks like I played my cards just right. Your plan's going to fall through the second Richard reveals what a snake he is. Not gonna happen. I made sure he cared about doing right before I took him on. Raising her voice, Aphrodite smiles across the table to Richard. Richard, you should tell me the story of how you and Veronica met. It's the sweetest one I know. It all began the day the co-founder of my first company was hungover before an interview. I went in his place, and that's how I got a cover in Forbes. Shrewd and clever as always, Richard. Says like you should have thrown some cold water on your bell and let him have his moments. You wouldn't understand, but that's not the point of the story. I walked out of that interview, and this lovely woman caught my eye. We were two ambitious people poised for success and love, as if fate willed it. It was a bit like fate. But please, let's hear about your guest, Veronica. While I trust your goodwill, I can't imagine what he'd need investors for. Better mops to wipe up after drunkards who miss the bowl? Richard sneers at your dad, who stiffens and swallows hard. The bar industry is more than... Don't worry, that was a joke. The service world is a black box to me regardless. I did my first finance internship in high school and never looked back. Just then, Maggie drops down into the seat beside yours and whispers into your ear. I've been paying attention to what's going on. You can't let Richard talk to your dad that way. Believe me, I know, but I don't know what to do that won't make my dad look bad. We need to turn the tables on Richard, get him to embarrass himself in front of everybody. I have an idea. We should pressure Richard to donate to a charity he doesn't want to. Order Richard a fruity drink he gets upset about. You whisper your idea to Maggie, and she nods and rises from the table, a gleam in her eyes. I'm on it. A minute later, a smartly dressed businesswoman walks over, interjecting herself into the conversation with a smile and a hand extended towards Richard. Mr. Roberts, thank you so much for your generous interest in our conservation efforts. What? Who are you? My apologies, I haven't introduced myself. I'm Nita Kim, CEO of the Harbour Conservation Group. I look forward to speaking with you. I think there must be some mistake. Oh, but I was told you were interested in making a donation to our organisation. You were mentioning it just a moment ago, Richard. Richard puts his hand over his pocket as though protecting his checkbook from Nita. No, what? I didn't? I'll donate something. The harbour's part of the lifeblood of the city. We gotta take care of it. The other people at the table nod with respect, and your dad gets out his battered checkbook. Now that's the sign of a decent gentleman. I'll donate as well, Nita. As will I, on behalf of Two's Co. Excuse me. Oh, good, the first course is here. An assortment of seafood appetizers are placed at the table, cutting off Richard's tirade before it begins. Fuck yeah, fuck you, Richard. Your dad picks up an oyster in his hands and unceremoniously slurps down the meat. Oh, that's bad. Delicious. Brings a new meaning to cracking open a cold one, ah? How quaint. Veronica, you're certainly branching out in the company you keep. Oh, Dad, no. Richard's lip curls as he watches your dad and he abruptly addresses Veronica. Veronica, you've spent enough time helping Drew Network. We should say hello to some of our other colleagues. That isn't necessary. Dinner has just begun and I'm perfectly happy socializing here. You'll be perfectly happy meeting some different people too. Richard grasps Veronica's arm, trying to lead her away. Hey, if Veronica wanted to go somewhere else with you, she would. There's no need for that vice grip. There's no need for you to cut into a conversation that doesn't involve you. Maybe we should move this outside. Richard, you're hurting your wife. You don't have to hold on to her that hard. Nobody asked you for your opinion. Just because my wife took pity on you and hired you doesn't give you a say in her personal matters. Don't you dare speak to my daughter like that. Your daughter? Ha! I should have known. Veronica took on a charity case and the charity case's low-life dad got a crush. Richard, watch what you're saying. She yanks her arm out of Richard's grip. He looks between her and Drew, comprehension dawning over his features. Oh, that's rich. I shouldn't have to defend my marriage against my wife's conniving other man. I may have been unfaithful a few times, but this bartender could never measure up to what I give you. A hush goes over the table as everyone processes Richard's admission. You cheated on Veronica? I mean, absolutely despicable. You sick son of a... Before you can stop him, your dad socks Richard square in the face. Richard topples over, his plate of oysters falling on top of him. Now that's what you call badassery. Oh my, should we call security? Drew, what have you... I realised I don't belong in your world. I'm sorry, I'll see myself out. Enjoy the rest of your party. Your dad rushes towards the exit as everyone in the ballroom watches. Dad, wait! But he ignores your calls. You turn to Aphrodite, fury boiling inside of you. I didn't know. Yeah, we shouldn't have been a snake. You're coming with me now. You storm out of the gala, Aphrodite following close behind. You find a private place in the courtyard and whirl around to face her. I cannot believe you. How could you do this to Veronica? To my dad? How could you be called Richard? Clearly, I didn't know what Richard had done. Do you really think I would have chosen him if I knew he cheated? I don't get how you picked him even without knowing that. Hello, Veronica's trying to divorce him. Aphrodite scrubs a hand over her face, but when her face drops, she looks at you imploringly. Look, I screwed up big time, but you need to understand why I put my faith in Richard. I really thought I was doing the right thing. Are you kidding me? You're still going to defend yourself? To defend him? I needed someone who could rival Drew. I thought to myself, if Veronica and Richard had already worked together once, why not again? Because they're literally getting divorced. I called up Richard, and before I could say a word, he asked for my help. He wanted to do whatever necessary to get Veronica back. He was racked with guilt, saying he'd made all these mistakes, but being apart from her gave him perspective. Come on, Aphrodite. How could you let him fool you? He was obviously lying to you. You're smarter than this. You've been doing this for 10 years. You know what makes a good match. I really thought I could make this work. I have a decade of experience. If anyone could rekindle their romance, it could be me. She bites her lip, gaze going distant and pained as though she's remembering something. Sometimes, when people get hurt, They forget what's worth fighting for in the relationship. It doesn't mean the magical spark is gone. This is about her parents. You think back to the other day in Aphrodite's childhood attic reading her journal. Wait, this isn't about Richard and Veronica at all. It's about your own parents. You want to change Richard into a good husband because you couldn't do that with your dad. Aphrodite blinks several times, stunned, before putting her hands up. Nice try, Freud, but I left Operation Cupid in the past. Don't give me that bull. You're letting your own personal feelings blind you, but you can't fix something that's broken, Aphrodite. Hey, watch it. You're the one overstepping here. This isn't just me reacting to some childhood trauma. And besides, you don't get to decide when a relationship's broken or not. And you don't seem to have given much thought to the fact that maybe they're getting divorced for a good reason. What was I supposed to do? Just sit here and let you win? Yes, don't make this about me. I thought Veronica was your friend. You did this. All of this mess is your fault. My fault? Oh, that's rich. You're the one who thought it would be a good idea to bring Mr. Everyman to a high society fundraiser. Oh, tear her to shreds. No, Veronica did, because she wants him here. She wants him to be a part of her life, not Richard. Well, he's not fitting in so well, is he? You threw Veronica, my dad, and me, and your own integrity under the bus tonight, Aphrodite. You can't take your way out of this one. You backed me into a corner. I had no choice. No good choice. Veronica likes your dad a lot. Richard was the only one who might be able to win against that connection. Veronica could be happy with my dad. That's what she asked us to find her. Love. I can't believe you forgot what this is all about. No, you've forgotten what this is all about. Aphrodite begins to pace as she speaks, practically spinning in place as she huffs. When does what I want get to matter? When do I get to live my dreams? Why do I have to fight you for the position of my dreams? Her voice, raw with anger and anguish, echoes across the courtyard. You match her timbre with your own, your throat aching at the volume. We've already been over this. What the hell do you want from me, Aphrodite? For me to just give up? Yes, that's exactly what I want. Well, that's insane. Insane? Insane? Her eyes are dark, her anger practically spilling out of them. She stops pacing and steps towards you. You don't back down even inches away from her face. Insane is working for a freaking decade, putting my entire life on hold, only for this girl I randomly met to blunder her way into a competition that shouldn't even exist. The only reason you're here is luck. You were lucky I was in that bar that night. You were lucky I took you to the gala. Don't you... You were lucky Veronica crushed on your dad. You didn't even want her to, but now it's going to win you the whole damn competition. Do you not get how infuriating that is? It's like giving someone a lottery ticket and then watching them win the jackpot. Lucky? Don't diminish me like that. I don't feel very lucky to have met you right now. Aphrodite falters. The darkness in her eyes gives way to hurt for just a second before she pulls back her glare. What, so now you're saying you wish you'd never met me? Honestly, right now, I'm very seriously contemplating my answer. Well, I can say that if we hadn't met, I would already be CEO. You clench your fist against the sting of her words. Where does this end, Aphrodite? What's the line? How much are you willing to hurt me for this job? Don't act like our situations are the same, Valentina. You just waltzed into this competition. It's some fun thing for you. I'm trying to win something I've walked toward for most of my adult life that just got offered to you by chance on a silver platter. Silver platter? Ah, I've been matchmaking at the bar for years. The reason I couldn't pursue it is because I had to help my dad keep the lights on. You got the opportunity to pursue your dreams. That doesn't make mine invalid. I got a chance and I took it. And believe me, this isn't fun for me. I'm not having fun here. And if you think I'd put myself through all of this grief for some silly thing I don't care about, you can screw yourself, Aphrodite Olympus. You storm away from her and hail a cab. As it pulls up, you hurl one last sentence at her. Oh, and if this job was so obviously yours, how come Veronica made you prove yourself in this competition? You enter the cab and slam the door shut. All you hear is your fury pounding in your ears. You manage to make it most of the way home before you start to cry. Poor Valentina. The next morning, you wake to polite but incessant knocking at your door. You groan and put a pillow over your head as the knocking continues. Valentina, are you awake? Hearing Maggie's voice, you get out of bed and make your way to the door. Maggie, why are you here? Well, I may have overheard that enormous argument you had last night, and it may be why I'm here to see if I could help you maybe feel better. Allegedly. Aw. Were we really that loud? Yeah, you were. She looks you up and down and sighs. You didn't even change when you got home? I decided I'd rather be unconscious, but I feel kind of gross now. With a soft smile, Maggie pulls a garment bag from behind her back. Then it's a good thing I brought you something. A new outfit always makes me feel better when I need a pick-me-up. Why don't you get changed and then we can have breakfast? I picked up croissants on the way. I owe you forever. No, you don't. It's what friends do. She hands you the garment bag and you take it to your room where you try on the outfit. Oh, that's so cute. And it's only 20. We've got to go for it. It is cute with a capital C. You rejoin Maggie in the kitchen, breathing in the buttery smell of fresh croissants and coffee with a smile. I'm feeling better already. Songs for the outfit, Maggie. You look adorable. Now get your butt over here. I got some of these cute little artisanal jams to go with breakfast, and they're to die for. You sit down with Maggie and spread some jam on a steaming croissant, then take a big bite, immediately getting crumbs all over your mouth. Oh my god, this is exactly what I needed. There is nothing that a good, buttery, flaky pastry can't fix. Well, sort of. I know last night was pretty messy. Understatements of this century. Have you talked to your dad? You set down your croissant with a heavy heart, taking a moment to dab at your mouth with a napkin. No, he wasn't answering his phone when I got back last night. I think he needed some time, but I'll check in on him later. And what about you? How are you feeling right now? Honestly, that was a lot to take in last night. I'm pissed and sad. Seeing my dead cadet like that, knowing Aphrodite was behind it, I'm furious. But I mostly just felt betrayed. It felt like everything was working between us. The hiccups was a competition's fault, not us, you know? But it turned out it wasn't just the competition. You shrug, uncertainty eating away at you. The worst part is I don't really know where Aphrodite and I stand. I left before we could finish the conversation. Yelling match. Is this a bump in the road we can get over? Is this the end? I can spy on her for you if you want. See if I can figure out where her head's at. As always, I appreciate your initiative. But that's a conversation she and I will have to have in person. Hopefully soon. About Aphrodite, She'll need to work hard if she wants forgiveness. I'm still trying to process everything she said. I could tell that she's hurting too. She owes my dad an apology first, and then she owes me one too. She wrote me off, but I didn't get this far out of sheer dumb luck, and she knows it, even if she doesn't want to admit it. Damn straight, Aphrodite better be breakfasting on a slice of humble pie right now. It's quiet for a few moments as you both eat several croissants and sip on coffee. Finally, Maggie speaks up again. So, the competition's still on? For better or for worse? Are you ready to finish this, whether you win or lose? You take a second to think about how you feel, digging deep, knowing that no matter what, you'll have to see this competition through. I am going to crush Aphrodite. Don't think any competition is worth this. Just wish I could press pause. When it comes down to it, she thinks I don't deserve this. But Veronica wouldn't pick me if I didn't. So I'll make her pick me to prove I do. I'm going to win, and Aphrodite will have to face the music. Should I already order the champagne? I'm going to already order the champagne. Maybe finish breakfast first? Right. Sugar high first. Future victory celebration planning later. She plates another croissant for you and pushes a tiny little jar of jam over. Aww. Here, try this flavor. This one has banana, raspberry, and rum. I'd be nothing without you, Maggie. A little while later, you enter the stockyard and see your dad at the bar, writing furiously on a piece of paper. He's surrounded by crumpled drafts. Zeus trots up to you with several balls of paper in his mouth. Aw. Poof! Those aren't toys, buddy. He drops the balls at your feet, soaked through with drool. Yeah, I'm not playing fetch with those. Oh, how dare you make that face, you cutie. You grimace as you pick up one of the pieces and toss it. As Zeus zooms after it, you approach your dad and rinse off your drooly hand in the bar sink. Maybe you should have been called Hermes. What's all this? I'm trying to write an apology letter to Veronica. I want to show her I meant it, and sending a text or calling her doesn't seem like enough. And how's that going? Drew gestures at the paper-strewn floor. This is enjoying it at least. Rough. I can't get my thoughts together. How do I just say I'm sorry for everything? Well, are you really sorry for all of it? You can't just say that. You've had some great moments with Veronica. Apologizing for everything feels like you regret those times too. I can't there feeling like the times things went right, I was giving her the wrong idea, making her believe I was better for her. Drew runs a hand through his hair, elbows slumping against the bar counter. You take a seat beside him, giving him time to speak. I wish I hadn't bumped Richard. I know I embarrassed Veronica, and then I just left her there to deal with it. I need to let her know that I regret it, that that's not the kind of man I am. Dad, I'm really proud of you for writing this apology, but you can't put all the blame on yourself. The way Richard was behaving was despicable, and what he'd done to her, he deserved what he got. I don't disagree with you there, but I still don't feel good for having gotten violent and running away afterwards. It's really important to me that Veronica knows that. You squeeze his hand, eyeing all the discarded, unfinished letters lying around. I think Veronica will be very happy to hear that. Do you still see a future for you two? She likes you a lot, Dad. She was glowing for days after your bowling dates. Was she really? It was kind of scary, to be honest, but that's how much he likes you. Hearing you apologize for last night is going to mean a lot to her, I know it. I haven't felt this way about anyone since your mother, and as soon as I let myself think it might work, everything fell apart. It's alright, Dad. I know how that feels. Don't give up hope. Me and Aphrodite had a really bad falling out last night. Junebug, I'm sorry. It was probably inevitable. Anyway, let's focus on you right now. You know your dad, I can't allow that. And as your matchmaker, I'm ordering you to. For now, at least. Let's work on your apology to Veronica. I just wish I could put onto paper what's in my head. I was never great with finding the right words. I think you're being your own worst critic. All writers are. For good reason. Letters aren't my thing. I can't afford to screw this up. You're really going to torment yourself over this letter until you get it done, aren't you? He looks at you hopefully. Do you think my incredible matchmaker could give me a little help with this? Hell yeah. Let's make our dad smile. You lean closer to peer at the letter in front of him. What do you have so far? Well, I wanted to start with a bang, so I wrote this metaphor about the relationships being like rivers. I really like it, but I wonder if it's better to just be straightforward. Wow, Dad, you're getting fancy. What's the metaphor? Drew clears his throat and reads from the letter. Relationships are like rivers. Sometimes they can be easygoing, and sometimes they can turn into rapids. Sometimes a dam or waterfall obstructs the path, but they always make it to their destination. Whatever that destination is, I hope the waters are gentle. Oh, that's beautiful. Are you sure you need my help? Thanks. Your mom loved metaphors like that, and I used to write the sappy poems to write in a day. But Veronica isn't your mum, and I don't want to compare her or do something just because it worked before. I think Veronica prefers things to be to the point. She loves the metaphor. With apologies, it's important to make sure it can't be misunderstood. The sincerity will come through with your honesty. Your dad nods sagely, setting the page aside and pulling a new blank sheet of paper in front of him. You read fancy words won't make the apology matter more. This is about making my feelings clear. He picks up his pen and writes several lines on the page, careful to keep his handwriting neat. Then he looks at you again. I feel like I need to say more once I get this sorry down, though. I don't want it to feel like an empty apology. You lean over and he angles the paper so you can read his words. I know I could have handled myself better. That's not the kind of man I want you to think of me as. Well, you could always bring up some good memories. Say how you wish you'd acted. Remind Veronica of the moments you were proud of the way you acted with her. Moments that made you both happy. Are you sure it's the right time for that? I think she's shaken too. A reason to smile is something she'll appreciate right now. And it'll show that even though you regret what you did, you don't regret all the better times before that. Your dad laughs softly, a reminiscing look on his face. I have the perfect memory to write down. As the French say, parfait. As your dad's pen flies over the page, you throw a few more crumpled sheets for Zeus. Ruff, ruff. Wow, mid-air catch. Nice one, buddy. Ruff. Alright, this looks good to me. After you give us the letter, are you planning to ask her back, or is this you buying out? Trying to figure out if you need a new matcha. Of course not. Only teasing, Junebug. I wish I knew the answer. I know I want this relationship to work, but I don't want to burst into a life unwanted. And I don't want to feel like a burden to her. If she doesn't want me in her life, I need to know because I want her in mine. You might think about putting that down in your letter as well. Are you sure that's not coming off too strong after an apology, is it? Dad, you'll never get answers if you don't ask. She should have to fight for you too. I know you're great at your job, but that sounds like something I'd read off a fortune cookie. It's a cliche, but it's true. It's better to know than not to know, no matter the result. It's your choice what to put on in this letter, but after what you went through last night, you have a right to make your feelings clear. Your dad mulls that over for a moment, then nods. Yeah, I'm serious about making this work. I need to know if she's as serious as I am. Your dad focuses intently on the letter, and after a few more carefully considered sentences, he signs it. Do you think a letter is enough? She hasn't already made up her mind, right? This is a start. It gets your foot in the door. The hard work comes next. You have to prove to her you don't go around punching people randomly, even if that person really super deserved it. Who knows, maybe it got me some bonus points. Knowing what she thinks of Richard, very possibly. He was due a punch to the face anyways. Thinking about Richard leads you to thinking about why Richard was there, which leads to Aphrodite. Your face falls. What are you thinking about? Just Aphrodite and me and falling out. I'm sorry, Junebug. I hoped at least one of us would end up in an happy relationship. This is just the end of the honeymoon phase. Maybe a sign it's not meant to be. That stuff that was said, if she apologizes for it, it better be incredible. Well, from what little I know about Aphrodite, she seems good at that kind of thing, and she seems to really, really like you. Maybe there's hope. I want to believe that. Your dad slings his arm over your shoulders. No matter what happens between me and Veronica, and you and Aphrodite, I'm here for you. Hey, that's my line. I'm here for you too, Dad. Always. He waves his completed letter. And know that I'm feeling a lot better about delivering this to Veronica tomorrow. And if you run into Aphrodite on the way, she better be on her best behavior or she'll have Papa Drew to answer to. Arf! 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 Your dad picks Zeus up, holding the wriggly puppy in his arms. And Mr. Zeus too, isn't that right? Ruff! Sorry, Zeus, but you can't come to the office with me. Aww. Shh, don't listen to her, Zeus. She's just being a big meanie. You roll your eyes with a laugh. This competition is the most insane thing I've ever been a part of, but I'm glad you're in it with me, Dad. It has been one hell of a bonding experience, huh? That's one way of thinking about it. I love you, Junebug. Love you too, Dad. After spending a while with your dad at the stockyard, you head back to your apartment, only to freeze when you see who's waiting outside your door. Is it her? Yep, it's her. Hey. Aphrodite straightens up, her hands in her pockets, tension in every line of her body. We need to talk. Oh, we're gonna talk to her? I wonder what she's gonna say. I mean, I think they could still work. They're cute, but it depends on what Aphrodite has to say. Depends if she really means it. And Valentina has some apologising to do too. They were both in the wrong. But Aphrodite didn't bring Richard along. So let's wait and see if these two lovebirds were meant to be or meant to be apart. Tune in next time. Stay frosty, puppies.